Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of We Believe to You Paranormal Podcast. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Eric.
We're going to have a really awesome interview today. I'm really excited about. You guys all remember Joseph from episode 10. Well, we are getting his brother on, and yeah, it's going to be exciting. He talked up his brother and the stories that he's going to have, so I'm sure they're going to be good.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how he got into like investigating like the historic side of it, you know what I mean? Or like what interested him in him or why it was that he decided to do that. So it's going to be good.
For sure. Two things. You remember that shadow thing that I saw in the window?
Yeah.
I saw it again, but the dog kind of made the shadow. I mean, this was during the day, like literally this morning, but I saw it like go across the window, and I was like, oh, like that's the same height that it looked. Basically, is what I was getting at.
Mm-hmm.
And well, that night it couldn't have been the dog. The dogs are inside in their crates, like we were going to bed. So
Yeah.
Again, it kind of just confirmed that whatever it was had to be. I don't think I mentioned actually in the episode, we have like a little fenced in patio. It's like larger, since we're on the first floor, it's like larger than just like a regular patio. It like extends out, so we have like a little mini yard. But that just kind of confirmed that whatever that shadow thing was, like if it was on the outside and something was casting it, it had to have been inside our patio.
Yeah.
And it was short.
So when the dogs made the shadow, they were also outside?
Yeah. I mean, this morning, like it just like it kind of clarified, or clarified, verified, whatever, that whatever that was that night had to have been inside our patio area that's blocked off, and it is in fact like short. Like it had to be, I don't know, how tall is a dog? Like 3 feet maybe. Yeah,
2.5, yeah, somewhere around there.
So I don't know.
That's crazy.
Oh, so I'd also kind of been telling you, brother, that that same feeling that I was kind of getting with that other male like attachment.
Yeah.
That it's like someone's in the room and all that. Well, I'm kind of feeling that again, but this time it feels more female, or like a woman. Not, I don't even want to say a woman. It just feels young also. And but like super gentle and like subtle. Like the other dude was like all up in my face, super annoying, and she's just kind of there. And it was also weird. I was having this weird restless in and out kind of sleep for a little bit. And I know I did fall asleep at one point, and then I had a dream that you and I saw her or had like an encounter with her or confronted her. Like I don't even remember the details of the dream. I just remember it was like us three, like you, me, and this girl. Person. But I don't know.
In the dream, like you saw her features and stuff like that?
No, I mean, no, I didn't really. I can't make it out just because like it was such a short little like snippet, and I woke up kind of like in a panic. Yeah. Not panic like I was scared, but just like kind of like startled awake, like and I don't remember the details of the dream at all. Like I just remember it was us three, and I was like, Eric, like look, like here, look, but like literally other than that, and that feeling of like it's happening, like we're all seeing her, or we're all here like in the same space together kind of thing, and then it was gone, and I don't remember really anything else.
Yeah. You and then like just thinking about it, like do you have any idea like what you think she might look like or anything like that?
Dark long hair. I don't want to like say, I feel like I'd have to kind of think about it a little bit more or try and meditate on it, I guess.
Yeah.
But
were you by any car accidents again? Or like traffic that was caused by a car accident?
I don't know. I mean, it's Austin. I feel like there's car accidents all the time. It's hard to say. I mean, the other guy, I just not like it was a car accident. This is from something different. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I need to.
Yeah, I'll let you meditate on that, and then we can discuss later on, whether it be in another episode or, just you and me. And because I had some stuff written down, but I don't want to like put anything in your head, and then that's what you think of. I just want you to think of it on your own, and then if I find that paper again, because I literally had it in my back pocket and now I can't find it. So,
well, maybe it's a good thing that you lost it then, so that I can kind of meditate on it, see what I get, write it down, and then we can confirm notes and see if we see the same thing again like last time.
Yeah, I actually don't think we've talked about that last time either, huh?
We haven't. We probably
should.
We
need to talk about that too.
Maybe we should do like an episode on like attachments or something.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. Stay tuned. And one other thing I wanted to share with you, brother, that I was super excited about. So for my birthday, my 30th birthday, we were supposed to go to Ireland, but, well, 2020 is a shit show, and Corona. We're trying to kind of do a plan B, and we wanted to go to Seattle. That wasn't working out. And then we're like, okay, plan C, let's go to California. And then that's not working out. So I was like, all right, let's just stay in Austin. And I just wanted to rent like a cabin in the woods. Like I didn't want to be necessarily around people, but so we're trying to figure out what to do. And Carlos was like, I had an idea. I was going to surprise you with it, but I didn't really think that, like, if you'd want to do it. And so I was like, well, let me see, like, what's up? So he like passes me the phone, and it's a haunted ghost tour here in Austin. But the really cool part about it is that it's like a private tour. So it's just us two. And we get to ride around Austin in a hearse.
That's weird. I mean, it's cool.
Not.
No, it's cool. It's cool. But the hearse is kind of creepy.
It's not. They like redid it, so like if you look inside, it looks like a limo.
A limo. Mm.
Yeah, and yeah.
So you're gonna be riding in the back where all the dead people were.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Sure. I mean,
searching for ghosts all throughout Austin. It's gonna be so much
that
fun.
part sounds awesome. The riding in the hearse part isn't my favorite idea in the world, but I mean, it just seems like it's interesting for sure.
I don't know. The hearse sealed the deal for me. I was like, yes, let's do this.
I mean, it definitely sounds like something you'd be in for or down for.
I'll have to get back to you guys and let you know how that went.
Definitely want to hear about that. Alrighty, so we already introduced you a little bit, Dan.
Okay.
As we were just letting everybody know that you are Joseph's brother that we spoke with. He spoke to us about you on the last episode. But something that my sister always asks is, what was like your first paranormal experience? Like your very first one that you remember having?
Yeah, so my very first one, and I remember the year, it was 1984. Mm-hmm. And I was very young. I had just lost my grandfather. And I remember there was a certain room I would always see my grandfather basically pray at his little shrine he had of candles and all that, And, he would sit in his room and stuff. And so I happened to walk in that room one night and just to just kind of my own way of saying, I still remember you. And when I walked in there, I saw my grandfather standing in front of his candles. Mm. And what really got me was that I could see right through him because I could see the candles, but I could see I could see it was him. And he basically just turned around and walked. It was another entrance on the other side of the room, walked towards my grandmother's room. But what really startled me thereafter, not just the fact that he had already passed, but that I didn't see his legs as he walked and disappeared. And that's what got me, I woke up my dad, told him everything about, hey, I just saw grandpa, blah, blah, blah. And he explained to me, he's like, your grandfather loves you. He won't hurt you. He's just checking up on us. And that started my, wow, what did I see? What happened? And thereafter, I had a lot of other experiences with other things, but I never got to see my grandfather again thereafter. It was just that time. But I still remember it was 1984 because he had just passed away.
Yeah. Wow. That's a beautiful first experience, with the paranormal,
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about it before, but we love when, parents' reactions to these kinds of things is, especially when it's family, it's like, hey, it's just them coming to say, hi to you or let you know that everything's good and stuff like that. Because, it kind of also sets, I think, like your
foundation
for that, those kinds of experiences further down the line, because if they tell you, oh, be careful with this and that, and they freak you out, then you're kind of, I feel, scared of that stuff for the rest of your life, rather than, okay, you have a different outlook on it. Was it all the other experiences that you started having that kind of got you into starting to want to, like, the information, all the historical information about these places? Was that what started you on that kind of path, or is it something that you've been into for,
So one of the things that I love history. I love American history and I love Texas history. So, researching things like that, things about the Alamo, why the the streets are developed a certain way. I just started looking into it a little bit about, things like that. But then I started seeing that, hey, wait a minute, I'm hearing these paranormal things going on. And like I said, I had a lot of experiences myself. So I started digging why, why are these experiences happening and such. And I started finding whether it was something tragic that happened there or something, maybe the person just, loved their home or whatever. It was something that just linked up, and I started researching it and trying to find out the whys.
What kind of linked it together for you, as far as like, I want to do the history of this, but I also want to actually go and investigate? Is it just kind of like something that like goes hand in hand?
So kind of what happened there after it, and it started in the late 80s. After losing my grandfather and I had that experience, I had lost my dad. And so it was 80, 88, we moved into this house. And what do you call it? It was just me and my mom. And things started happening at this house, that I started getting some experiences at first I didn't understand, like, is this me? And how is this, happening? And I'd always try to find the logic behind it. I'll give you the example what started this. Not knowing the history prior to my house or the house that I lived in. But when you fall asleep and you feel like you're falling off the edge of the bed and you just wake up startled, right?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, I woke up like that, but I was hearing the headboard and the footboard creak like they moved. And it started like, well, this isn't unusual. I woke up like that. And so I was wondering, like, man, to me, I was like, is the mattress moving? I just didn't understand it. And so I made it a point after that to always make sure that the box of the bed, everything was aligned. It's nothing's touching the footboard, nothing's touching the headboard. It's just, it's just the mattress there. And nothing happened for a good while until one night it did. And it woke me up like that, that I felt like I was going to fall off the bed. And I heard the headboards. What woke me up kind of halfway. And I looked, and the mattress was corner to corner, one corner touching the headboard and the other corner touching the footboard. And I'm the only person in this room.
Yeah.
So then thereafter, it was like, I'm explaining this to my mom, like, Mom, we need to get a priest over here and bless this house. Something is going on. Okay. And of course, Mom, she's kind of like, you're delusional. You're seeing things. No, I'm telling you, there's something's going on here. We had the priest come by. Nothing. Okay. Thereafter, we started hearing voices in the living room when nobody else. It's just me and my mom, and we're in our rooms. Start hearing voices. So, okay, what's going on? And nothing harming, nothing that things or anything being thrown at us or anything. It was just something letting us know that it was there. And finally, I just said, you know what? I need to find out what's going on here. I need to find out why this is. So I started asking neighbors, hey, what's going on? And you guys seen anything? Blah, blah. Well, they start sharing some experiences with me. And they start telling me things going on in their house. Some of the things that were happening, TV would turn on for no reason. And I remember one night, I became real good friends with the guy across the street, and we played cards and everything. He's a guy much older and stuff, but hey, I'm a teenager and I'm playing poker with his, and he's got his kids too. They're a little younger than me and stuff. And we're all hanging out, and TV turns on for no apparent reason. I remember back then Chris Maru was on the Ken's 5 or something, and all of a sudden we start seeing Chris Maru's, the image is turning upside down. And
What?
on the TV, the TV's not moving. It's just the image.
Yeah.
It's turning.
Right.
And
So creepy.
we're looking at this TV like, dude, unplug
Yeah.
it, unplug it. So we
Yeah.
unplug
Yeah.
it. The other thing was that we started making it a habit every time we would hang out, at 7:00 or whatever, in the evening, whenever we are playing cards, unplug the TV.
Yeah.
We unplugged it. Eventually, what happened one occasion, we still hear a voice coming through. And we're like, wait a minute, dude, I'm about to throw your TV outside. Seriously, I am not good. We're not playing anymore. And on his house, his daughter, at the time she was about 15. We hear her crying. Get over there. And she's sitting at the edge of the bed, and she claims that she was lifted and they sat her. She was asleep, laying on her back, and then she was put to the edge of the bed. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know, I'm like, dude, what happened here? That something's going on. There was something had happened. So researching.
This was at his house, right?
This is at his house, right?
So then the similar things are happening at both houses.
Somewhat, but I never got lifted from the bed. Okay. That was a good thing. Mine was just the mattress was moving. Mm-hmm. So researching my house, I ended up finding out that, and I still remember the name of Mr. McDougal's, was the prior owner. He lived there by himself. His kids lived out of state. He passed away in my room, and heart attack, but from what I gathered with the neighbors, once I started mentioning his name, that they knew him, they said he loved his house, and that, he cared for his house. He took care of the garden. He loved his house because him and his wife had that house. They raised their kids there. And I said, makes sense that here this man is like, hey, I'm still here. This is my place, Yeah. I never did see him though. But we did hear things. We did hear noises and stuff. And then, so I'm trying to also still puzzle, well, what's the link with the rest of the house or the other houses?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, researching, I ended up finding out it was there was Indians that lived there and way back in the time of the missions and such. And so unknown, I don't know if they're a burial ground, but there was Indians, there was the missions and stuff, so there was a lot of history there in that area that triggered me from that into looking into other locations, such as, downtown. And of course, San Antonio has so much history, but it's not just downtown. There's so many other places in Texas that I just love the history now, and start researching and looking into, the whys and such, and then giving the background, and then trying to go and look for what evidence we can find as far as paranormal. Yeah.
Wow. So real quick question. Sorry, Michelle, but I want to get this in before, because it really doesn't. Joseph mentioned to us that he had a similar experience with this telephone, a light up telephone, where the phone rang or something like that. It was lighting up, and then it would happen a couple times. So they disconnected it and it lit up again. What he told us at the time was that during that time they were playing with a Ouija board. So prior to these experiences, had you, with the TV and stuff like that, had you played with a Ouija board, or was it just something that happened?
No, that was something that happened. I can tell you, I have never played with a Ouija board. I do not intend to play with any Ouija board.
Okay.
But I do believe that there's things out there, and you don't need an Ouija board to contact us. Sometimes they will let you know if they're there.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because he had a similar experience. I was like, wow, that's crazy. I was like, I wonder if they were together for that, Ouija board experience.
So one of the things that and my grandmother, she passed away long ago too, but she, Hispanic culture, the curanderos, or the people that,
healers,
believe in it, curing you and all that other stuff. So she kind of did that stuff. So a lot of this stuff back when she was alive, I used to address it with her, and I used to tell her, look, Grandma, this is what happened. This is what I saw. And so she would tell me, well, you need to pray, or you need to do this and that. And one of the things, when I was mentioning about my neighbor across the street, more things happened there at his house than the others. There were other people saw things, but it wasn't as bad. It wasn't even as bad as mine. The other houses, his house was far worse. And one of the things that I did mention to my grandmother, because she asked me, she says, hey, she goes, let me ask you, how is your friend's relationship with his wife? Are they happily married and all that? And I said, well, yeah, but they're always arguing. Of course, I'm a teenager. I don't understand this. They're always arguing. And she says, well, one of the things that happens is that when a place, like a house, and you argue too much, you bring that stuff in, you bring it more, and it starts coming out more. And I started saying, you know what, that does make a lot more sense, because aside from the daughter being lifted, one of the other things I did notice was tortillas lifting.
What?
Yeah. So I'm sitting there at his, we're playing cards and stuff. And there's this table, and you could enter from the dining room. You could enter the kitchen in two different, either from the hallway or from the side of the dining room. And so we're playing, and we hear his other daughter, his middle daughter. She's screaming bloody murder. So I run one direction. My friend Philip runs the other direction. When we enter, I see her. Maricela was against the refrigerator. She's screaming, but she's just pressed against, her back's against the refrigerator, and she's has her hands kind of like up in the air somewhat. And she's screaming bloody murder, and I'm looking at her, and all she can't tell me, but she's pointing like, look in front of me, and she's facing the stove.
Yeah.
When I turn and look at the stove, she had two tortillas on the stove, and mind you, there's a flame and everything else, right? The heat, but the tortillas were about 2 to maybe 3 inches, far too much, but probably about 2 inches above the flame.
Wow!
And they're floating there. And then when we look, me and her dad saw it, Philip. They drop.
Oh,
and at that point, I mean, we're like, what the hell? So she's with her mom. They're trying to take care of her, because she's freaked out. So are we. But then I think we went through almost 20 tortillas trying to replicate this. We're putting them on the stove, I don't know how many we burned. Just trying, like, why did this happen?
Yeah.
But so yeah, those are some of the things that I experienced.
It's good to have that healthy skepticism, just so that you're not believing or thinking that everything that's happening is, paranormal.
Yeah. Because I mean, I see some people that you see it sometimes too in these photos that people take pictures, and they're like, well, dude, that's an orb, and I'm like, no, that's dust. I did a tour not too long ago at one of the cemeteries here in San Antonio. And so people were taking pictures, and all of a sudden they start telling me about these orbs. And I said, okay, hold on, everybody stop. And so we stopped, and I said, okay, so take a picture. There's less orbs, right? And I started kicking the dirt. And I said, take a picture now. Oh, there's plenty of orbs. No, there's plenty of dirt all over the place. That's what you're taking a picture of. I said, I don't believe. I need something a little bit more stronger than that.
Yeah.
I need, something that, an image, a figure, a face, a voice. So yeah, I don't go into the orbs or anything like that.
So I know, like we've talked about, I think it was on episode 3 with Max. My sister and Max had gone to this house downtown that since has been, I guess, burned down in an arson fire and stuff like that, or in an arson. But we were talking about, we had wanted to like kind of learn the history of the house and stuff like that. And I don't, how does somebody go about doing that? Like, how do they go about like finding the history of a house or an area and stuff like that?
So a lot of the stuff that, San Antonio, well, you'd have to go to the Bexar County Court, look into the records of the plots, who's the prior owners. I run the names, because now with the internet, I mean, a lot of stuff you can research. So I try to find who the prior owners are. I do stuff like if I get a name, I start running it through. I even do at the ancestry stuff, because you find a lot of records in there too that are linked. I found, so part of also what I do, like I said, I do a lot of history and stuff. So I was doing a lot of the officers down, right, here in Bexar County, and I found several records that were wrong. in San Antonio Officer Down pages. And I'm like, whoa, dude, this guy didn't die on this day. He died on this day. This is a complication. I found the newspaper articles. I found a lot of things that I corrected with I sent it to them and I said, hey, this is the correct information. Plus, you also have other officers that were killed in the line of duty and y'all guys didn't know. And so I find a lot of things through the ancestry, the newspaper articles. I also subscribe to the news articles, the old articles. You go to San Antonio Library. They have the microfilm, so you can get a lot of stuff in there too. But you have to look at. I start off with the Bexar County records, especially like for the addresses and stuff like that. And then I go over to the San Antonio Police Department and see, or whoever, and see, hey, what can you tell me about this address? Was there a murder there? Was there, anything? And I ask for an open records request, and they give me what they can, So I get things from that too. Yeah.
So then it would just be like going to your county's like records and
start off there.
Okay. Yeah.
Start off there with the address, because you're trying to run the name of the who owned it, and then you try to find, well, now I have this name. Let me see who, if they were in the newspaper for any reason, if they were, whatever. And a lot of times you find some interesting history. And now with even, Find a Grave, as I do some of the history with that, some people are already putting articles in there, about, so-and-so passed away because of this or that. And I start finding the history behind that, So there's a lot of good resources. You just have to go down there and just take a look. But usually I start off with the county records. Yeah, Brownsville does have a lot of history. I just did that one on Fort Brown and a story on that. And it definitely has a lot of history that needs to be preserved. If history is where we come from, it's what we, how did we get here? Well, I love that. And I love looking into that. It's the foundation, and anything else thereafter. I mean, at least we know what was there before. That's why I like preserving it.
That's why, it always kind of bothers me when people, I listen to other paranormal podcasts, but people give these podcasts crap for going into the history before they get into the ghosts. They're like, just give me the ghosts. I'm like, the reason that there are ghosts is because of the history. You have to know the history. Without that history, there is no ghost.
It's like context for what's happening,
And I didn't, and I never realized how. I was actually just telling Eric for my 30th birthday, we were supposed to go to Ireland. Obviously, with that, plans are canceled. So we're actually staying here in Austin and doing a haunted Austin tour, and they're gonna go into the history of some of these buildings and stuff. I'm excited about the possibility of ghost, but more just kind of learning more about the city I've lived in for 11 years now, 12 years almost. So that should be interesting.
Yeah, Austin also has a lot of history too. I love going down to Austin. I don't like to stay though, but I do love visiting Austin. Yeah.
I'm really interested in if you could link us that article that you read.
Brown.
The Fort Brown stuff. It's because we live here and stuff, and anything that you read, you write and stuff. Obviously, we'd be interested, but more
definitely,
especially the Fort Brown, because I went to the university there. The main campuses or the original campuses of TSC and stuff like that are what where was mostly built on the fort and stuff, and the morgue and all that stuff, and people have had so many experiences there, and I'd be interested to read up more on that stuff,
right,
or for you guys to do an investigation there.
Yes. We're cool. Working on the next one. We're working on. We're talking to my brother. He's the one that likes to go do the investigations, and I'll tag along with him and kind of guide him on the history of it. The next one that we're looking at is over in Goliad. So he'll be announcing that soon, and then we're working our way down south.
Yeah.
Well, definitely let us know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Especially, when I love the fact that you guys are doing this podcast and such, and just getting some information out there, and I like that. And definitely look forward to something down the road. That would be great.
No, we appreciate that.
Of the places that if you've studied any places here in Austin, what is the place with the most history that you could name off the top of your head that you've looked into?
So there is a house next to the tower up in Austin, the Littlefield House. That was originally a house built in 1894 by Major George Washington Littlefield and his wife Alice. Old Victorian mansion. And he had passed away, but she stayed there. And they donated this house over to the university. However, she still stayed there to where she could see when the tower was being built. And
Wow.
what do you call? Of course, she would always see it from the balcony, looking over. And speaking with some of the people that worked there for the university, mostly the janitors and stuff that fix that, keep up, because they're mostly now offices for the university. They claim every morning things are being moved because Miss Alice likes to put things back where they're at. It's mostly her spirit that is seen on the second floor. And then, of course, we know the tragedy between the shooting of the tower, which happened when it's just real close to it and you can see it. I think there's a lot of attachment from the prior owners. And now that it's a university, they, still come and check up on their own home. And so that's one of them that sticks out. Of course, there's also the Driscoll Hotel, some of the other places. But that house definitely, I think, I really have an attachment to that house. I want to actually go back and do an actual investigation with my little brother to go out there. Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
I'm excited for you guys, man. Like I watched that episode at the Gunter Hotel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if I haven't gotten a notification that part 2 is out. So if it is out, I need to go check it out. But I'm like
going back.
I'm anxiously waiting for because that little cliffhanger that you guys left us on. I was kind of like, So I was like, I need more. I was like, I need more. So and it was cool because again, like you see this stuff on TV and it's like you see it on TV and it's like, like do you wonder like is this production and just for production value, and then like you see people like just normal people that doing it, and but the thing is like, and I've talked about this with my sister before, is like I've seen stuff like recorded by normal people, and like you can tell immediately that it's like okay, dude, this is fake. But like your guys' stuff, like I was watching it and I was like, dude, this feels like an actual like paranormal show that you see on TV.
Yeah, but
like. I don't know. It just feels real, like, at least to me anyway.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So how this started up, we have a brother, we always talked about paranormal, and he did a lot back in the early, I would say like 90s and such. And then we just stopped and we moved on with our lives. We did our careers and everything else. And then I started bugging him and I said, hey man, I kind of want to get back into this, start researching and such. And we talked about it, and then it was just funny. Him and his our other partner, Steven Casanova, is the camera guy. They started talking about, let's get out there and let's do this. And it's right about the same time that I started telling him that, I wanted to start researching and getting my Instagram page to, reflect on some of the ghost stories and things like that. And we just tied up together, and I did my page, he did his. And when we did the Gunther, I was telling him that story. And I said, I have actual, photos of the crime scene. I have a lot more photos in a lot more places.
Yeah, those are pretty disturbing too. I'm not gonna lie. I'm surprised they're still on YouTube.
I still have some that are far worse than that, but of course we can't put them out there. But when I mentioned this story to him, he was taken off by it, and I just told him, I said, look, man, one thing I'm going to say is that, is it haunted? Yeah, I've been out there and I've seen a lot of stuff there too. And I said, but if we don't get anything, then we're going to report while we're out here, we didn't find anything. Doesn't mean it's not, or doesn't mean that these things aren't going on. It just didn't happen when we were there. Right. And I said, but we're going to be real with people and keep it that way. I'm not going to, stage something or anything like that. It's if we see it, it's like, wow, this is what happened. You take your opinion on that, and we'll just leave it at that, Yeah. So yeah, that was a fun one to do, and we definitely want to go back.
No, and I think it's important, like Michelle said, about getting because at the very beginning, I mean, guys, if you're like, go check it out. The Paranormal Journal on YouTube, and watch the episode. I do want to say that, like, I really enjoyed as well the fact that you were on there talking about the history before you guys went into the investigation, because I think, again, that gives you context into what you're trying to investigate. Because if you just go in there and start investigating a place without giving any backstory to it, it's just kind of like, okay, well, what are we doing here? Like,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's very important as well.
I don't know if Joe shared with y'all when we stayed in that room, and of course, I mean, there was nothing a whole lot going, but we found after we filmed, we found more history about this room.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he shared with you that of course they remodeled that floor, and there's a section that is empty, like it still has the original back in the day. Some of the, like, I guess the tub and stuff. That's and all they did was just close it off. They said that, like, there's like a good 4 or 5 feet of space between one room to the other from the original.
But did they mention why they did that?
So the reason they wanted to change the image of because a lot of people knew about this murder, right?
Right.
And they knew, oh, this is the original door, and so people did not want to stay in a room that, well, this is where the murder took place. So what they did, they just separated it and it just changed it. That's the only floor they did that and remodeled, just to try to get away from what happened. Well, now the hotel welcomes you. If you want to come and investigate this room, they will by all means, hey, come over here. Yeah, check it out. People are still asking about this murder because, like I mentioned, this is one of the rare cases where we know who did it. We just don't know who he did this to. Where usually you know who was murdered, you just don't know who did it. And that body was never found, but we know that there was a body. It's a very interesting case. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a place? I think it's in Austin, or like maybe outskirts of Austin, but it's called Pioneer Farms.
Yes.
Okay. I just listened to a podcast about this place, and I'm like, this is in Austin. It just sounds super fascinating. Would that be something that you guys would be interested in trying to look into?
If we can get to all of them, we would love to. But yes, definitely in Austin. Yes, that's another one that we would look into. Definitely. At this point right now, like I said, first one we're going to try to tackle is the one in Goliad, and then move down to the USS Lexington. Hopefully, God willing, that gets us to there.
Yeah. And what exactly is in Goliad that you guys are going to be looking at again?
So we're going to be going down to in Goliad. We're going to be going down to one of the missions that's down there. Give you it's because I always mess. Presido Nuestra Señora de la Baja. It's basically La Baja or Presido mission. Mm-hmm. And so what happened then was this mission was back in 1747. It was built by the Spanish Army, and eventually, when Texas was trying to become its own country, most people don't realize that. But back when it was trying to become its own country, there was a commander there, Colonel James Fannin, that was down there, and he had heard the cry out to the Alamo. He knew Santa Anna's coming down here, and he's got about 300 men that says, I'm going to answer Travis's letter. Let's get down there, and go help them out. Well, as they tried to march up to San Antonio, they were stopped and intercepted by another force of the Mexican army that Santa Anna knew. Go down there, block them off, brought them back down to the mission. And they separated the men, 150 one way, 150 the other way. And they told them, hey, we're just going to attack the Alamo, and we're going to let you guys go. And when they decided to turn around and just say, nope, we're going to go ahead and kill them. Ugh. And so they shot all 300 men. Colonel Fannin was left, and they had orders to kill him. So he turned around and said, look, do me a favor. I know y'all going to kill me. Don't shoot me in the face. Give my property and my belongings to my family. and please give me a proper burial. They did quite the opposite. They went ahead, shot him in the face. They took his belongings, and they piled all the men in a mass open grave and placed Colonel Fannin on top and left them there. This happened March, and in June, after the Battle of the Alamo and everything else, another Texas army found the bodies of what was left and just basically buried them and as best as they could, because after animals had already gotten to them and everything else. So very tragic, very sad, but the mission itself, they look for ghost hunters as well. If you want to stay down there, they're open to it. They have rooms where you can rent out. You can ghost hunt at night. They're open to that. So I said, let's get down there and see what we can see. There are other investigators have been out there, and they've gotten some good footage and good information and stuff. But as the Paranormal Journal and Hasta la Muerte Chronicles, we want to get out there and see for ourselves as well. See what we can come back with.
I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
I actually want to kind of talk about, because Joseph was talking to us about you having some experiences with lechuzas, and
I knew he was going to bring that one up.
Yeah.
Yes. As far as
all the ghost stories, really.
Yeah. Well, as far as what lechuzas, I haven't. The story is that they have there are these Hispanic women that are witches that turn into these owls. I've never seen this. I've never seen anybody turn into no owl or anything like that. But as I mentioned, there's things that I cannot explain what happened, or why it happened, how it happened. But as a kid, when my dad was still around, and I would go and stay with him, and he was telling me a lot about these lechuzas, and I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? What do you mean, these birds and what they whistle and what they bug you? And he's like, look, when you get this, what you got to do, and he's telling me that I have to basically curse at them and get away from me, that type of a deal. And I just I don't understand, but okay. And I remember when I was staying with him that walked over, to the restroom. The restroom, the toilet is, it's a small little room, and there's a screen window right. If you, stand in front of the toilet, it's just a screen little window. And I would hear literally birds or a bird just flying right by that window. Always, every time I go to the restroom, turn on the light, bird would hit that thing, like flapping and then scratching at it, like just scraping on it. And then I would hear these whistles. And so I mentioned to my dad, is it? I didn't see it, but is this what's going on? And he's like, well, just cuss at them and blah blah blah. And I started telling him, I ain't going to the restroom, man. You know what? I'll just pee here in bed, dude. I am not moving. It startled me. And then, of course, I mentioned I have my grandmother, on my mom's side. So I brought the attention to her. And I said, look, Grandma, this is what's going on. My dad's talking about these lechuzas. Well, of course, now she's telling me the same thing. Not about cussing at them, but she's like, I know that there's these they basically put a curse, this and that, and they follow you. And I'm like, who's putting a curse? She explained that to me. But she says, on my end, I'm gonna do anything to protect you. So she did her stuff with branches and all this and that. A sweep is what it,
barrida.
There you go.
Limpia. Yeah.
Una limpia. And then she told me, she says, hey, she goes, you ever see a white bird, a white owl? Don't be afraid of that one. That one's protecting you from the other one. And I said, but I've never seen the other one. I don't know what you're talking about. And I left it alone. And I do remember on one occasion, we were outside, and I'm with my dad. And of course, he's with his brothers and family. And it's not completely dark enough where we could still see each other. There's no light. And I see my dad just rolling around, just yelling, get him off me, get him off me. And I couldn't understand what was going on. I'm freaking out. And when I finally see him, he just stopped. He stopped rolling around, and he had scratches on his, like, not human scratches, nothing like, they're like real thin scratches with some of them were a little bit of blood, and he's got them on his neck, he's got them on his back and his face, and I couldn't understand this. I'm freaking out, They brought him inside, they tended to him and everything else, and I mentioned it again to my grandmother, and she told me that they attacked him, but where we couldn't see it, and I didn't understand this. To me, I'm like, what kind of crazy Mexican stuff is going on here, man? And that's the last time I ever saw that.
Yeah,
I remember after my dad passed away and we moved to that house that I mentioned we lived at. I'm sitting outside talking to my new neighbor, my new friend, Troy Taylor, and little white guy and stuff, and I'm telling him all these stories, right? And we're sitting outside. I still remember my mom coming outside telling me, "Hey, it's time to go inside. You're gonna go to school." And no, Mom, we were outside drinking water, and we had the lawn chairs, and there's this huge tree over to my right. But the tree, it never reached the sidewalk, or its branches never reached the sidewalk. Mm-hmm. And I just remember I'm telling Troy all these stories, and he doesn't believe me at all. Who's going to believe this? Guy rolling around, all of a sudden he's scratched up, and I just told him, I said, look, man, I can't explain it. I just know what I saw. Mm-hmm. And he's like, so exactly what he tells me. He says, hey, that's just Mexican folklore, man. He goes, yeah, that's not true. I said, I don't know. You call it whatever you want to call it, but I know what I saw. I was there. And I said, I can't explain it. I don't have an explanation. I don't know what it is. All of a sudden, I hear these large wings flapping. Both he and I hear this large wing flapping, and we look up to this huge tree. Next thing, what caught our attention, it just happened so quick. Next thing that caught our attention is this huge branch is laying on the sidewalk. We heard it fall. We look at the branch. I look back up to see what the hell dropped that. And we see this. I mean, it was huge, huge white bird. Wow. It just glided across. It was gliding across the street. There's no trees across the street. This is across the street would be what I mentioned earlier, my friend Philip's house. The tree, there was no huge trees on his side or anything. There's no clouds. There's nothing. We see this white bird just gliding over. Before it even got to the house, it just disappears. What? So Troy and I leave the lawn chair, everything we had outside. We run inside my house, and now he's screaming bloody murder. He's freaking out. He says, "Oh man, I believe." And I said, "Dude, there you go. There's your Mexican folklore. That's exactly what I would see, and I can't explain it. I don't know what we just saw. All I know is a huge white bird just disappeared. I don't know what it was. Was it a lechuza? I don't know." And then I remember him telling me, "Dude, walk me to my house. Dude, you live next door. Put your butt over there, man." I remember I just told him, I said, "Look, man," I said, "you run next door, jump the fence, and just turn on your light. Let me know you made it, and we're done." And I just remember my mom waking up and like upset because I left everything outside. And when I explained to her why we left it outside, she's looking at me now like, "And that's why you go to sleep early."
Yeah. Oh,
and then that's when you tell your friend, "No que no, cabrón."
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I did. So you said that your grandmother told you that the white ones are like good. They said protection.
They were protecting me against the other one. Yeah.
Is that what you
I don't know what it meant.
Me?
What's that?
Oh, sorry, Who? Eric. Didn't you see it? An owl, or was it white though?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at next. Was that the time that I saw it? It was white, and it same thing. Tree out front. But I did see it land in the tree. I saw it come down, like you exactly how you described it. Huge wings, like huge wingspan.
Yeah,
the thing was massive, and it just lands in the tree. And couldn't really see exactly where it was in the tree, but it lands, and then like I turned around. I remember calling my mom and my dad, or just calling out into the house to come because there was a big bird in the tree, and they come out, and then like when they start getting to the door, this thing just takes off. And I mean, I don't remember if it disappeared or what happened, but I just remember it leaving, but I don't remember, if we tracked it to see how far it went or whatever. But that was my experience.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just go based on what my grandmother told me on that. I just, as much as I know about it, and that's the first time I ever saw a white one. Like I said, the other ones I never saw. I heard them. I heard something, and it always ended up happening that way. One thing I do remember, it was not a lechuza. I'll share this story. It's funny. So eventually, I got married, and then we had this tree in front of the house. It was huge as well, but it had this ivy growing all over it. So it had all this ivy hanging down and stuff from the prior owners and stuff. And I'm outside with my two best friends and stuff. We're outside talking and stuff. And one of my friends, Vince, he turns around and says, "Hey, man." He's looking at this tree, and he's like he likes to look into paranormal stuff. And he's like, "Hey, man," he goes, "That right there, bro, that could be a lechuza tree." And me and my other friend, Davio, we're looking at each other, and we're looking at him. We carry our conversation, kind of just ignored him, like, dude, whatever. And he kept on talking about this, and he's looking at the tree. He goes, "No, man, it's real creepy, man." He goes, "Hey, that could be a lechuza tree." And I said, "Dude, all right, already, enough with this lechuza tree. I'm just telling you it's a lechuza tree." And then all of a sudden we hear these birds flapping in the tree, and it happened so fast. We look up at it, and I kid you not, and all of a sudden these things, they fly across the street to the another tree, and they're flapping, and we're like, what the hell? Then they fly towards us, and they go whiz by Vince's head, like they just whew.
Oh.
But they weren't lechuzas. They were crows, and they were fighting each other. But Vince, it was perfect timing. Vince is hugging. Yeah. He's hugging Octavio, and he's like, "Lechuza!" We're like, dude, there you go. You're calling them, and look at what happened.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, but there were a couple of crows. We were able to see those.
Oh.
It was crazy.
Still,
yeah,
super creepy.
It was perfect timing, though.
Yeah. I feel like I've read that like maybe not necessarily like in Mexican lore, but other cultures where like crows are also associated with witches.
Well, I'm not 100% sure like but there's something in the Hispanic culture called and more so like in like the native Mexican culture and stuff called a nahual, and they're shapeshifters basically. So they turn into animals, different animals. It doesn't necessarily have to be a lechuza. Well, so it could be, that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some of what you're mentioning, some of the Indian have the belief as well about the shapeshifters and such, and wolves, crows, and that's what reminded me was some of the native Indians have that belief as well.
I mean, I'm really glad. I definitely want to have you back on because I feel like we could go because I know we
just scratch the surface of it.
Yeah, I think we could go more with you, and so I definitely want to have you back on.
Hey, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I know we're wanting to get Joseph on too later,
Okay.
Maybe like after you guys do the Goliad investigation.
I mean, obviously after you put your stuff out because we want, but definitely after that, we'd like to have you both back on just so you can give us more history on it and just your all's experiences on there and stuff like that.
Yes, definitely. That would be great.
I know we've mentioned it before and Joseph mentioned you, and we did tag you on on his episode as far as, your Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that. But if you could go ahead and give us that and where we can read your articles, like what you wrote about UTB and or the Fort Brown, I'm sorry, and different things like that.
So I have a Hasta la Muerte Chronicles, and you're gonna find it on Instagram as Hasta la Muerte Chronicles, or you can find it on Facebook, Hasta la Muerte Chronicles. And I do link a lot with the Paranormal Journal, so definitely. And I also have the email with muertechronicles@gmail.com. If anybody has videos or information or anything they want us to go and look into, definitely try to see what we can make it out there and look into it. But definitely welcome any photos and stories, backstories to it that I would definitely share.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, go check them out. Definitely, if you're into history, go check out Hasta la Muerte Chronicles, and if you're into like the backstory of these places, go check him out. And then also go look at the Paranormal Journal, because they do have an episode up, and like I said, I saw it, and it's good. And he does have a few other EVPs in there that are pretty crazy, so definitely go check them both out. It's you definitely worth your time, 100%. So cool. Yeah, man. Again, Dan, thank you again for coming on here. We appreciate you, and we're having you back. Just
thank you. Thank you for the time. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. That was fun.
I knew it was going to be good.
Yeah. Definitely feel like we just scratched the surface, though. Like I would love to have them both on again, both Joseph and Dan.
It would be even interesting to have them both on at the same time.
I thought about it, but I feel like then it would be a 4-hour conversation. But we'll see. Or I mean, yeah, maybe after they do that Goliad investigation, we can have them both on and talk at the same time.
Yeah, but I'd like to have them on again separately, and then have them on together. You know what I mean?
So basically, they're just going to be reoccurring guests on our show.
Yeah. Well, it happens, right?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it was good. Because we were talking about, I really enjoyed that, like the history behind the stuff. You know what I mean? The investigation, the just learning the backstory of these things, and again, I'm really interested to see what he wrote about. Fort Brown and stuff like that.
I know. Yeah.
Oh my God, I just saw an orb.
What?
An orb. It might have been dust because it felt like it was this. But it like passed by your head.
It's the girl.
Okay, so it was right here, and it kind of did like a wavy thing coming down like this. Like over by where you're at. Oh, dude, it just came forward to the camera.
What?
Yeah, dude. Literally when I said by the sweaters.
Fuck.
Like the sweaters are right here, right? Like right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so like from the sweaters, when I said, oh, the sweaters, blah, 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 it goes like this, and it came towards the camera.
Eric, I'm scared. I'm like actually legit scared because I've been having such a hard time breathing this entire
Dude, and remember when
I know I know what you said. That's why I'm freaking out. I don't want to be in here anymore, and Carlos isn't here. I'm freaking out.
Okay, so do you want to like...
Is my audio still robotic?
No.
My audio's what?
Your audio sounds fine now.
Give me a second. Let me just...
Like, I thought, like, honestly, like, okay, I was like, it has to be dust. But then when the second time, dude, it literally, like, floated in forward direction.
Oh, fuck, bro, stop. Wait, hold on, we gotta stop talking about it for a second.
Next time we record, I'm gonna have to, like, screen record and shit, dude, because that's so disappointing that I didn't get that on camera.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just freaking out. I mean, I think, again, if this, what's kind of going on is that, like, spirit that I think is around, I don't necessarily think attachment, but if it's just kind of hanging around, she doesn't feel bad. She doesn't feel mean. She doesn't feel malicious. She, like I said, it's, like, gentle and, like, very subtle, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay, we're composed now. Kind of. I had to call Carlos because it was just like, where are you? I don't want to be in the apartment by myself. But he's not here. I'm calm now. Again, it's not something scary. It was just go into panic mode for a second.
No, it was my fault too because the energy I was putting out, like, frantic. So it was my fault. I should have been more calm about it. That's why the whole paranormal investigation thing, like, I feel like I'm going to be like,
yeah, for sure. I'm going to scream for sure. Okay, but I will say, like, it has been, like, super, I feel like I've been struggling to breathe this whole time, or like I couldn't take a deep breath, or like I would find myself just not breathing at all for some reason. And okay, the reason why it's weird is because, Eric, what did you, or I guess I should give some backstory.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of were talking about, like, this entity, this, like, ghost girl that I think is kind of hanging around. And when I was telling my brother about it, I said maybe she was the shadow that I saw. And what did you say happened, Eric?
Yeah, as soon as she told me that, like, I literally felt like my breath left my chest. Like, it wasn't even for that long. It was like literally a second where I felt like just all the air was sucked out of my lungs, and I was just like, oh, dude, like, you know how when you feel like your chest just get really tight and you can't breathe? Like, I felt that for like a second or two, and I told her, I was like, dude, like, literally when you mentioned the shadow that you saw in the window, and after talking about the girl, like, I felt that. So like this entire time, she said that she's been feeling that. And then I see this little, like, I know Dan had mentioned orbs, but like it looked like it fell like from up on top, from the top of the frame down by your side. So I was like, oh, okay, it's just dust. But then I was telling Michelle that there's some sweaters that are kind of hanging next to her. And I said,
because again, I'm recording in a closet, guys.
Right. So like I told her it like kind of came down on the side of where the sweaters are. And as soon as I said where the sweaters are, that same little orby light, and it wasn't like it's like a big circle. It was like a little pin light type. Like it was a small like light comes from the sweaters forward towards the camera. So it's like, well, dust, like I feel like, yeah, falling, like that could have been the dust, but now coming forward like that towards the camera, it was weird. And especially because I said the sweaters and the sweaters.
Yeah. And then also the fact that your mic is fucking up. It's like, and then you started seeing the orbs.
Yeah. And then, well, you stopped talking. I told you, hey, your mic is messing up. And then that's when I saw the thing fall. And then it came forward because the door is in front of you, right?
Yeah.
Almost like if maybe it was going out of the closet and now your microphone is fine. Okay. I'm just saying.
Shut up.
I'm stopping.
I'm not even kidding. Like,
well, that was fucking interesting.
That was. I swear we didn't plan any of this. Like the fact that I was talking about it in the beginning of the episode and then this all happening at the end of it. Like, I swear to God, this was not planned, guys. I honestly wasn't even going to talk about what I'm feeling as far as like this girl. I wasn't going to bring it up.
Yeah.
But I figured, fuck it.
I felt like we just completely took away from that entire. The point is, guys, we really enjoyed the episode. And we like the fact that, Michelle was talking about her ghost tour and, you know,
how important history is to the paranormal, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
It helps validate some experiences too. Like if you keep seeing a woman in white, you know, like why is there a woman in white? Oh, because a previous owner, you know, lived here, always wore a white gown, like whatever it may be. Like that's why history is so important. So I don't know if you guys heard, I guess it would technically be 2 weeks from this episode, 2 weeks ago, rookie mistake. Somehow I cut part of our review in our audio. And I just wanted to read it again because it was actually a lot longer. And I want to give, you know, the review its full content. But anyway, so yeah, 5-star review from Future Times 19. And it said, I'll be the first to admit that I can be very skeptical and dismissive when it comes to the paranormal. But after listening to a couple of episodes, I'm starting to rethink what some noises and unexplainable figures I've seen at night. These stories are very relatable and down to earth, so do yourself a favor and listen to the episode if you're interested in the paranormal and unexplained. Also listen to us freak out over orbs. Just kidding.
Yeah, guys. And you know, we really appreciate you guys leaving a review and especially giving us 5 stars on Apple Podcast, because again, that helps us get up in the ranks as far as podcasts are concerned. It helps people find us a lot easier. I mean, you can search us, but it'll bring us up in like when you click on it and all the podcasts are out there, it helps us get up in those ranks. So please go ahead and get on there and do that. We'd really, really appreciate it. And if you have any stories like experiences we're having right now, or you know, you're a paranormal investigator, or
you're a medium and you can tell me what the hell is going on here because I can't get a clear picture.
Yeah, definitely send us a message or an email because we really want to hear from you guys. And you can do that by checking us out on Instagram, and that's at We Believed You Podcast. On Twitter, we're at WBDY Podcast. On Facebook, we're We Believed You ? And our email is webelievedyou@gmail.com. Also, go check out Dan and Joseph's pages. That's the Paranormal Journal and Hasta la Muerte Chronicles. They have a lot of good stuff, good content on there. And yeah, guys, just let us know. Shoot us those messages because we really want to hear from your stories because we believe.
Do you?